Hello and welcome to another ground up build within Gran Turismo 7, this time though for a rally car. As you'll of course have seen from the title, an homage to the excellent little classic Monte Carlo Mini that was way back in Gran Turismo 2. It was one of those cars that people didn't really talk about much. It had a certain amount of power in the shop, like 63 horses or so, but then when you actually bought it, it had like 240. So it was an absolute beast of a car for like 500,000 credits. This is my homage build to that. Now, first of all, of course, we need to get the visuals down. And as you can tell, this one does have a existing visual package with the dirt and grime and the livery. So, as I've often said with these builds, the livery actually comes from a different player. And it's kind of a nice way of getting the community involved, even though most of the people that I shout out have no idea that I'm going to do that. I kind of like doing that though, it's sort of a Secret Santa style thing. Now, you want to fit the wide body kit on this particular Mini, because of course that's going to work hand in hand with this particular livery. Ultimately, of course, if you don't want to download somebody else's, then the choice of the body kit is, down to you. Now, if you do want to grab the livery that I'm using, which I think looks pretty great, it's got that dirt and grime as well, then you can look up this player or search that hashtag to be able to find this exact car. And there are a number of different Monte Carlo Minis, but I like this one because of all that dirt and grime on there. Now, a couple of the things you can change compared to what this person did. So you can change up like the shape of the number plate, you can change up the tow hook. So there are still a couple of things that you can do. That then is all I've done for the visuals, because aside from that, it's already done for you. Now then, as far as the actual parts go, we'll jump, of course, over to the tuning shop, and then we'll work from the right all the way down to the left. Now, for this particular one, if I recall correctly, I have indeed, as you can see here, gone for the racing brakes, and I've also got the carbon ceramics. You don't need both, so just choose whichever one you want. I've heard from a number of people it doesn't really matter too much, so just go for whichever one you like. I do have the hydraulic drifting style handbrake and the advanced, also for drifting really, steering angle adapter as well, just to improve that turn in. Then as far as the racing parts, basically fit everything that improves the power of the car up to just under 180 horsepower, as you can see. So the polished ports, the balancing, the increased stroke of the engine, the intercooler. Don't go for the supercharger though, because the turbo is better. The race filter, the race exhaust, of course the aforementioned racing brakes with the pads, the exhaust manifold, of course suspension, clutch, flywheel. Weight reduction you can't do on stage 4, as you can see. We've got the fully customizable transmission, of course. I have got racing mediums on it, but this is a rally build, so you don't necessarily need to buy that. As far as the semi-racing stuff, once again, just go for the power. So crank, the computer, the high RPM turbo is what I've gone for. You could go for the mid-range if you chose to. It's not a huge power difference, and some people might prefer that kind of power delivery. I personally like to get just the most power and the most torque you possibly can. That's not really the way the best car tunes work, but I'm just going down the Clarkson route of just power. As far as the diff, we've got the fully customized limited slip diff. Of course, the stage 3 weight reduction, which of course you have to do after level 1 and level 2, of course. As far as the club sports section, you want to bore out the engine. We've got the high lift cams, high compression pistons anyway, and the power restrictor you don't have to do. Same with the ballast, you don't have to do that. I like to have them just to give you a bit more wiggle room for different, performance point levels. Of course, stage 2 weight reduction. Obviously, you want your dirt tyres. And then finally, for the sports section, stage 1 weight. Of course, it already comes with the comfort hards, and that is it as far as the parts. Now, though, of course, we'll jump back into the garage to show you the tuning. And then finally, obviously, in a second, we'll take it out on the dirt and I'll show you what it can do. Now, obviously, you want the dirt tyres fitted. And as you can see, this one nestles close to 500 points. So it should be pretty usable if you do want to use it in competition. As far as the transmission, what am I on about? The suspension, first of all, I should say. The ride height is on 110mm, as you can see, front and rear. I've increased the anti-roll stiffness to 5, so just a little bit. For the compression on the dampers, we've gone for 38, with 42 on the expansion. For the frequency of the suspension, we've gone for 1.9 and 2.10. 1 degree of camber on the front, none on the back. And we have towed the rear wheels out by 0.05, as you can see. As far as the diff, we've gone for 5 all round. Again, you can see that clearly there. I, of course, did not fit NOS, but that's down to you. For the gearbox, I must admit this one I didn't fettle the gears at all. So I've left those stock. just fitted the transmission and then set the auto setting to 210 kilometers per hour. I find this is a gearbox which works really well if you use it in manual, especially off-road. And coming from me, you guys know that that's saying something, because I prefer to drive auto, but on the dirt, you just end up bouncing off the red line too much, and sometimes it doesn't change down quick enough, so you're bogging down through the gears. So I would recommend using this as kind of a 4-speed manual kind of approach. The restrictor, the ballast, none of that's been touched, because as I said, that's only if you need to restrict it. Say, for example, if you wanted to race it at maybe 475 or 450 or something like that. And then, of course, over here you can see all the different settings and all, well, not so much the settings, but the parts that are fitted to the car. So all that remains, of course, is to now take it out on the dirt and see what this thing can do. Now, as you'll see, once again using that manual gearbox, this thing absolutely flies on the dirt. It has nowhere near as much power as it did back in Gran Turismo 2, or at least that vehicle did, but it feels to me at least like kind of a nice homage to that vehicle. The weight isn't the same, the power isn't the same, and if that car was still around it would have a way higher point level than this one, but I think it's a nice little throwback to it. In terms of the lap times that this can do, running it on my first attempt with an auto box, you're looking more like the 126s, 127 even. You change it over to manual, it makes a huge difference. I got down around the 125 region, as you'll doubtless see in this video when I cross the finish line. It's a properly quick little car. That's still a couple of seconds off the pace of some actual rally cars in the game, but again, this is a sub 200 horsepower classic Mini that doesn't even have a rating of 500 points. So it is a very, very quick little platform, and once again, being front-wheel drive, it has that disadvantage as well against the all-wheel drive rivals which it might come up against. So if you want to use this as a competition tune, it has a lot of potential, but also has its primary goal of being kind of a retro throwback to the early days of Gran Turismo. It kind of mixes the best of both worlds. So of course, if you do decide to use this build or some variation of it, I hope you have a ton of fun with it. I hope you maybe win events with it if you use it for that as well. And of course, show the creator of the livery and the overall design some love if you check out their page as well. But until next time, I'll see you with more builds. Of course, there are more on the channel already that you can check out also. And until next time, I'll see you then. But for now, as always, thanks for watching.